So the best way to make progress and enjoy what you do is by wanting to make mistakes, wanting to embarrass yourself, not being afraid of rejection and not being afraid of looking like a fool. Because most things that we do, or let me say that we don't do, it's because we're afraid of making a mistake. We're afraid of approaching that girl because we're afraid of rejection. We're afraid of talking to that person because we don't want them to judge us in a certain way. We're afraid to shoot our shot because we don't want the feeling of failure or rejection. And that's how most people live their lives, and that's how most people have their mindset. And what we should do is change this mindset from that of avoiding making mistakes to that of taking more risks, experiencing more, embarrassing yourself more, making more mistakes. Because the more you do that, the more experience you gain, the more confidence you gain, and the more you learn. Essentially, you just have to get out of your comfort zone. And we spend most of our lives in our comfort zone because we're afraid of feeling whatever it is that feeling brings upon us. So let's leave that feeling behind. Let's move forward and embrace difficulty, embrace awkward feelings, embrace feeling uncomfortable. You know, like, you should find enjoyment in that. So find joy in all that stuff. Find joy in having new experiences, because that makes you wiser, that makes you stronger, that makes you a better person. And although it's more uncomfortable now, it's uncomfortable making mistakes because you feel embarrassed, you feel stupid, you feel a certain way. After some time, you will be so wise, so confident, and so level-headed that it'll all have paid off. So I think that's a very positive mindset shift that you can make, rather than always being comfortable and not standing out and being passive and just staying still. If we embrace the feeling of embarrassment, of making mistakes, of putting ourselves in more situations that we aren't used to, so that we learn. And that's the best way to grow. That's the best form of growth. That's the most mature form of growth. That is how you grow the fastest and with the best results. So just try and experience everything. Take it step by step. It's all about progressive overload. You're meant to slowly build things up slowly, rather than going cold turkey, rather than going 100% at it. Build it up slowly. So maybe you do a small bit on day 1, then on day 4 it goes up a certain bit, then after a week it goes up again, after a month it's up another level. So it's all about progressive overload. It's all about, like, the same way that you go to the gym, the same way you lift weights, the same way you wouldn't bench 100 kilos straight away. You'd obviously start with 10, and week 2 you'd be on 20, week 3 maybe you'd be on 60. The exact same way you build up your progress in the gym, your progress in real life should be no different to that. Everything, if it comes to studying, if it comes to making money, if it comes to any goal or any habit that you have, everything should be progressive overload, because that's the most realistic way. It's the best way to do it, so that you don't fall off. Because if you go 100% from the very start, you're going to fall off and then go back to zero. But if you build up slowly, it's the most concrete, safest method to do it, because you build things up slowly, you gain momentum, and you gain confidence along the way. So just the point of this video is to take on more risks, walk out of your comfort zone, embrace more challenges, get out there and get used to doing that. Get used to feeling uncomfortable. So don't feel comfortable all the time. Get used to being uncomfortable, because then those uncomfortable things will become comfortable, and then you will move on to your next layer, and that's essentially how you grow. You know, like what a useless and what a boring and mundane life it is if you're not growing. If you're just stuck in the same spot, just doing the same thing over and over again. What sort of life is that, to be honest? You need to grow, you need to get better. You need to get out of your comfort area and experience things that you haven't experienced before. And there's only one way to do that, and it's by going at it every single day. That's it.